I were waiting for people to get on. You're you're on mute, Rachel.
Hello, all.
Hello.
Yeah, well, people are joining here. Still a couple minutes early. Can everybody hear and see me okay?
I can.
Good.
Assuming other people can also.
Yeah, I'm having some internet problems, but I think things seem to be okay. Ben, will you be sharing your screen or I'll go ahead and share it.
You both should be able to share your screen. Uh,
Yes, I am. Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, I saw yours for a second there, Brian. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. There we
Oh,
go.
okay. I thought you were talking. I didn't hear you. So, okay.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Rachel, Doug, how are you? Okay. Might be muted, but that's great. Thank you for joining.
One
Oh, yeah,
minute there.
got it. Okay, thank you. Yep.
Great. We always have this awkward pause before a meeting when like people haven't joined yet. And like, you hate to start talking about anything relevant because then it'll be like awkward. You know, I had an idea a long time ago. I thought I'd pull up some Pennsylvania trivia questions. So in this moment, we could play a little trivia. I've never actually done it. I've never pulled up any Pennsylvania trivia. Let's see, maybe we could find some real fast. What's the state bird of Pennsylvania?
Oh man. I mean, I
Ruffled
recently
grouse.
learned what a keystone is. That helps.
Somebody says grouse.
Ruffled grouse.
Oh, that sounds familiar. I think he's right.
That's good.
Ruffled grouse. There you go.
I'm sure we had to
What
beat
is,
out some states for that.
what is the only town in Pennsylvania?
The only town.
What do you
What
mean?
is the only town in Pennsylvania?
Norristown?
That's a borough.
Ah!
Hmm.
Lancaster.
That's a city.
Can we get a hint?
It's both a college town and a county seat.
State College?
No, State College is a borough and College Township is a township.
Okay. West, center, or right, third of the state.
If I recall, it's north central.
Haven? Okay, no.
No, but it's close.
Scranton.
No, it's a city.
Ah. The trivia question is the only town in Pennsylvania, which I didn't know there was only one.
And
It's a good question.
technically, it's a Pennsylvania's a commonwealth, not a state. Don't forget that either.
Yeah, we hear that. Philip, you're officially in charge of the statewide call monthly icebreaker.
The trivia, yeah, the trivia icebreaker.
So the only town is Bloomsburg, and
Ooh.
do not ask me why. I have no idea.
I guess they never filed for boroughship or something. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with
Yeah,
the date of the
they
founding.
incorporated as a town,
So interesting.
Just one. Wow.
but the only
That's
one.
bananas.
Everybody else is a township, borough, or city.
Huh. Yeah. Can't
I
argue with
don't, and I don't know what the difference between those are, just like you said, Commonwealth versus state. It's never been adequately explained to me.
that. Tune in
So-
next month.
Okay, I'd answer that, but Rachel wants me to hold that till
No,
next month.
no, go ahead. We have time.
So
Okay,
a
good.
commonwealth is it's similar to the United States, where the power of the federal government comes from the power that the states cede to the federal government. A commonwealth is somewhat similar. A commonwealth is where the state government gets the power that's ceded by the common land or the townships. So it's a bottom up type of government rather than a top down. There's 4 commonwealths in the United States: Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Kentucky, and Virginia.
Okay, well,
That's a great way to start.
thank you, Phil. You must be a social studies teacher.
No, I just have a lot of useless information.
Useful.
Useful, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We're in July, in the middle of summer. I'm sure everybody has things they love to be doing outside and social things, and we just love and appreciate everybody taking the time out of their Monday evening to jump on a board party call. Um, you know, uh, we've got a lot going on, but we're also right on the cusp of like big election season. So we're kind of like, there's a lot of anticipation and work behind the scenes. We'd love, everybody that can be involved and help on that sort of like getting ready work, but we're also right about to get into it. So thank you everybody for joining. I am dealing with some internet issues tonight. So please people let me know if my videos glitching or you're having trouble seeing it or anything, and we'll make a change here. Yeah, but let's get started. Okay, everybody can see the first slide here.
Yes.
Okay, like I said, we're coming up on election season. This is the last chance to get on the ballot. The end of the month, I believe, is when the paperwork has to be in. So if the key to being still eligible to get on the ballot is that you have to be a registered independent or non-affiliated voter, and you have to have been that way since 30 days before the primary. So if that's the case, you haven't been registered as a Democrat or Republican since 30 days before the primary, you're still eligible. And a lot of these races, it's just a few signatures that you have to collect to file the paperwork, and you can still get on the ballot. There are thousands of races in the state that have no candidates whatsoever, just waiting for you or someone to sign up and get on the ballot. That's a big push right now. There's lots of people interested in doing it. I think a few of our people on the call are actually in the process of doing it. So, Zachary? You're muted if you're talking.
Yes, I am. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Hi, everyone. My name's Zach Thompson. I live in a little suburb outside of Pittsburgh. I'm running for judge of elections, in my district, and it's only a handful of streets, and I only need 10 signatures. I have 17 so far. I plan on I registered for the Ford Party back in December, and I meet the requirements. I've actually volunteered working at polls before, so this is nothing new for me. So it's just a lot of door knocking, talking to people. A lot of people don't know what the Ford Party is, so that's the main reason I'm running is for visibility and to see the Ford Party on the ballot, and just an opportunity to briefly explain to people what the Ford Party is. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. That's awesome. And just like you said, 10 signatures, you're getting the name on the ballot, your name on the ballot, you're helping your community. Judge of elections is an important role, and they need filled across the state. So thank you for what you're doing, and you're helping us at the same time. Get people used to seeing forward on the ballot. You know, when they recognize it, maybe they Google it, they look into us, they you know, they're more likely to in the future when we have another candidate that they remember, you know, they already did it once. Thank you. Anybody else want to share an experience? I think we got a maybe not right now. Okay, well, we'll have
Yeah,
more time
so
later.
hi Brian, this is Jessica. So I'm in
Yeah,
the process for Inspector of Elections. I also need 10 signatures. I've gotten 14, but I fear 3 of them may be thrown out for various reasons because they're very particular about exactly how the form is filled out. So
Yeah,
still working to get a couple more, but I plan to get that in by either Friday or Monday. Oh, and I'm in
awesome.
Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is kind of an exurb of Philadelphia, a little bit north.
Did
Great,
you?
great.
I
And
wanted.
and yet,
Oh,
sorry,
I'm so
Zoe.
sorry. I wanted to say, Jessica, have you gone I went to the Mercer Museum recently in Doylestown. So I was in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
live probably half a mile from there.
Really? All right. Nice.
And
Nice.
if you haven't seen Fonthill Castle, you should definitely do that too, do the tour.
Absolutely. I'll keep that in mind. I was gonna say that in Berks County, the election services don't check your signatures unless you are challenged. So
Oh, really?
I was wondering if
Okay.
they challenge it like once you submit it, or because if you submit 10 signatures in Berks County, they take it as is unless someone challenges it. So I was wondering if it's different, and what would that be? Montgomery County?
Uh, I'm in Bucks.
Bucks County. Sorry, I'm
We're
sorry.
near Montco.
Well, that's a great point, Alex. Like when we were submitting signatures for the statewide candidates last year, the advice that we got was, you know, collect the amount that you need that are required plus 50%, you know, as a minimum. Because when they start challenging, they find a lot of reasons to remove signatures, and you want to have enough cushion so that you don't get challenges. Now, obviously, when you're collecting 10 signatures, if you're getting 10, get 15, get 20, you know, maybe you don't have the same concerns, and, you know, you don't expect to be challenged, but that's definitely all, you'd hate to miss it by a couple of technicalities, so. Yeah, Steve.
Hey, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I've been in touch with Ben, and Ben, I wanted to let you know I finally heard back from Delaware County, and I just need to get 11 signatures to run for judge of elections here in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. So I'm just west of Philadelphia. So I'll be working on that this week.
It's awesome. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
Look, we got judge of elections, inspector of elections, which I guess is different, another judge of elections, and then we know Alex is running for mayor of his town.
Awesome.
Oh wait, look at that. This is awesome. And you know, as you folks have questions, we could definitely put you in touch with each other and, you know, help out if you do. And, you know, if you did have some challenge where you needed volunteers for some reason, or to gather signatures in a case where you were a little short, we can definitely like send out emails to supporters and areas to get people involved. So glad to hear from you guys. This is exactly what we're working on. Okay, can you still see my screen? Recruiting for 2026. So it's a little early to start thinking about November 2026, but it's very important that we start to. Because we want to run candidates for the PA State House, right? Last year, half of the state house races in Pennsylvania were uncontested, right? Half of the ones that were contested were complete blowouts. So this is where we really can have an effect. If you live in a district that was not contested last year, it's easy to look up with Ballotpedia or whatever. You can look it up and find someone that would be right. There's 203 seats across the state. And if you start looking into who your state house rep is, you know, they're very challengeable people. So find a great candidate, start lining it up. This will be a candidate that, you know, there's a fair number of signatures to collect. You know, and possibly money and advertising to run a real campaign. But these are winnable seats. We actually want to win. This isn't a situation where we're just trying to get, you know, 2% or something. You know, we can win these seats. And if we could get 2, 3 non-major party office holders in the state house, that would, you know, allow things like ranked choice voting and nonpartisan primaries to be real discussions, along with all the other things that the state house can't come to agreement on because they're 50-50 and they're fighting with each other all the time. So start thinking about it. If you look up where you are, you know, you have people around you that are great potential leaders, even if it's not you. Yeah, let's start thinking about it. Okay, great. We had some exciting, well, there's some exciting news that we were mentioned alongside. We were very excited to put out this statement this week. Rachel, whom a lot of you know, Rachel Shannock, like Shamrock, is a plaintiff in a lawsuit with the state of Pennsylvania. Rachel, would you like to explain what's going on here?
Yeah, sure. So I have read the entire brief. I'm not a lawyer, but I want to be able to speak intelligently about it. So I can't answer any questions. I don't want to drone on too long, but the statement I think is pretty, you know, speaks for itself if you guys haven't seen it. It's called a King's Bench petition, which is basically almost like emergency relief if you follow the Supreme Court. We're asking the state Supreme Court to take this up as opposed to weaving our way slowly through all of the courts and eventually, depending on how it would go, it may land there anyway. So saving time and taxpayer money to hear it. And the argument is that the closed primary system, which most of you guys know, is not the way it is in a vast majority of states. I think there's only 9. I've read something about 14, but I always thought it was 9 states that we're one of that has some form of closed primaries, which was not always the way. There was, I believe, a law passed by PA Congress in like 1937 that established this. The state has changed, the world has changed, the political climate has changed, and these things like the Constitution of the U.S., the state constitution can be amended, new laws can be passed, and you can also be found that something that's in practice is unconstitutional if asked. So that is the legal argument, is that the current practice of closed primaries is unconstitutional because it dilutes the speech and the power of my vote because I'm excluded as an independent, and some of you may also be. I think there's 1.4 million Pennsylvania voters who are registered as an independent. It's like 1.1 independent, and I think 300,000 other, so Green, Reform, Constitution. So 1.4 that are not a major party. I did the math. I forget the percentage. It might be 14% or something like that because there's like 8.6 million voters. And it's a large swath, and it would probably be higher if you didn't have to give up your right to vote in the primary, where, let's be honest, a lot of elections are decided. So it creates a two-tiered electorate, meaning some people get to contribute who gets to be in the general election, and some voters do not. So there's lots of arguments about ranked choice voting and election reforms and structural change and how this will be better to get a more representative. But the legal case at hand is about the constitutionality of the current system. And it's very laser focused on just the fact that if you read the PA state constitution or this part of it, which I've not read in its entirety, nor again am I a lawyer, that they make a good case. You guys probably know that Michael Smerconish is the lead plaintiff, and then Jeffrey Thornburg probably is the other big name who is
David Thornburg.
David Thornburg, sorry. And then there's another, David Thornburg, who is this, I guess, the son or grandson, but I think the son of a former Republican PA governor. He's well established in he leads Ballot PA, which is part of, I believe, the Committee of 70. I've heard him speak, and many of you probably have, Independent Pennsylvanians, Ballot PA, other partner organizations. So going on longer than I wanted, but I am also a plaintiff, and there's another regular citizen, Jeffrey Doty, who's a grocery store owner and independent in a pretty red area, I believe. I have never met him. So we're the four plaintiffs, and we represent anyone on this call who is an independent who has not been able to vote in the primary.
Right.
Congratulations.
You and your friends, Michael Smerconish and
Right.
David Thornburg, are hanging in. No, this is very exciting, and
It is
I
exciting.
think people will have questions. So if you don't mind, talking, being open to a few questions here. So, right, if you're not familiar with Michael Smerconish, popular CNN host, and he has this serious radio show that I listen to often. He's talked about it a number of times that he likes to be a registered independent for his show because he tries to not lean one way or the other. And so he thinks he has a case for himself to sue the state of Pennsylvania to not make him choose a party. And so, yeah, they actually did it. And Rachel, how did you get involved, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so Brian, you probably remember, and possibly Ben, there was kind of a call to action. It might have come through Independent Pennsylvanians, or again, one of the partner organizations. And Michael and I think the lawyers held a call, a Zoom call, for anyone interested in perhaps signing on as a plaintiff. And there was an interview process and a vetting process. And it was never for certain if it was going. They held for a while because there was legislation moving through, which has ultimately been stalled once again. So they decided last week to file the petition. So I was interviewed. They talked about why, what's my standing if anyone follows, legalese. I'm probably butchering it, but you do need to have standing. You need to show that it impacts you. And then, of course, I don't believe it's a class action, but like I represent a lot of people like me. It's the fastest growing subset of the votership is independents. And again, it would be more. It's impressive that it is as high as it is in Pennsylvania when you also have to sacrifice your vote to be independent. And most people know that it's a large number of veterans as well who prefer to be bipartisan, nonpartisan, and be independent as the military should, is as an entity or is intended to be. So there's that slant as well of like these people put their lives on hold, put their lives on the line, and we don't let them contribute on an equal footing. Their vote is diluted. And in some cases, the argument can be made that their vote is irrelevant or evaporated in entirety for something like a local or municipal race that is in a blue or red district, totally decided at the primary. They have no say.
Exactly. And anybody feel free. Does anyone have any other questions or conversation around this subject? Feel free to raise your hand or speak up.
So
But-
I
Yeah.
had been in touch with David, and there's an organization called the National Conference of State Legislators that has it's a nonpartisan group, and they monitor statewide issues. And I was in touch with them on their redistricting and elections team, and they told me that they're watching the lawsuit, and they said that there's quite some other states that are also, this is becoming a big issue now too. So it's not just Pennsylvania, it's happening in other places as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and if this lawsuit is successful, it could be a demonstration of what other states could do. They may be following our lead. So that's very exciting. Yeah, we were very happy put together. And the statement that was put out here, I think this is exactly right. That the legislature is not going to fix this. They are disincentivized from fixing the problem that we have. And so they're going to try this way, this legal way, even though we'd all rather see legislature do their, take care of this themselves. Yeah, Robert.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I was about to mention Representative Brian Fitzpatrick over at I guess Doylestown area, that whole congressional area. It seems like he did mention he did pop up on the micro Smirkonish when he mentioned it. He did chime in there like, oh, he has some kind of legislature that he's trying to push through. Like you said, it was kind of frozen. So maybe now that there's a lawsuit, they can kind of fall back to them in that there is maybe some wiggling. And maybe I don't know if anyone's tried to reach out, but it would be interesting if Representative Fitzpatrick will be vocal about these things, and maybe we can try to invite him along to one of our forward calls. I mean, he is a Republican, but he was one of the 2 Republicans who voted down the Trump mega bill, big beautiful bill. So there's a chance the Republicans will give him some leeway because they fully understand without him there would probably be a very possibly socialist Democrat in his position. So they give him, some latitude as far as talking to other parties. So that would be quite interesting. I think I have met him a couple times. So let's see if we can send some emails or something. So.
Yeah, I've amplified some of his posts on the Forward Party, the Pennsylvania Forward Party website. Facebook page, which Robert and I and David as well contribute to, and of course Brian and Ben. He is, I think, a co-chair of and this is U.S. Congress, of course, not PA State House, the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. He was a guest on. I posted on the might have been in the Slack, or it might have been on the Facebook page as well. If you guys aren't on these things like the Slack or the Facebook page or the Instagram, it is a good way to keep up and get interesting content, interviews, podcasts. There was a great interview. I want to say it might have been with Chuck Todd on the Chuck Todd cast or something. It was not an Andrew Yang thing. It could have been Bill Maher, one of these other pretty big platforms. Where he talks about, it's I think a Democrat from New York that chair the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, and is an interesting listen. So you can find that on our socials, or I can share it again.
That's awesome. Thanks for pointing that out, Rachel. And please like everyone so we can kind of drum up the activity on Facebook, right? Right. So there are 18 of us here, so let's see some of them click. So thank you.
And putting any of this stuff on your personal social media also, it extends our circles, which is, we're often, it's great that we're talking to each other, but we are trying to grow. And so if you have a social media network where, a couple people might see that content, reach out and message you or ask you about it, and you can share a call, or you can invite them to something, Forward's holding, or introduce them to one of us. We're always smash that like button, but also, share it out to widen the audience is always appreciated, whatever socials you're on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. And we'll look forward to interviews with you from all the press over this to share.
I did get one interview so far, I will say. It was actually from like a CBS political correspondent in DC, so that was flattering. It was just on background. I don't know that anything's going to be printed, but he did say he might reach back out. So that's interesting. I'll also just point out that the Supreme Court can absolutely not hear this, and it is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So, it's a high likelihood they'll just say, no, thanks, we're not interested. In which case, I do believe it is planned to file the old-fashioned way and weave its way through. So this isn't the be-all, end-all, and it's a very low likelihood, but with the news today, you never know. I don't know how incentivized these justices are to take it. As Robert pointed out in the chat, like a bunch of them are up for re-election. Is that good? Is that bad?
I don't know.
Politics.
I think the general consensus is that it was the Republicans that were generally against Brian Fitzpatrick's bill. So the Democrats are for the bill, and they wanted to move on. So assuming, the Democrats think, the Senate is kind of split, and then the General Assembly is mostly Democrat.
Well, just remember, Fitzpatrick is Congress, U.S., and this is a Pennsylvania state issue.
Right.
only.
Yeah. So the idea is like, if it flips, there's a chance.
Yeah, everybody has a stake. It's so
Because
close. Yeah, everybody has a stake.
Yeah,
Me too.
Republicans, right?
just to be clear, the PA House is a one-seat Democratic majority. The Senate is Republican majority. And this lawsuit is primarily involving the state constitution as opposed to the US Constitution. So,
Right. But well, Fitzpatrick is doing like a whole nation
yeah,
thing, but also
yeah,
uh,
yeah. So what happens if this lawsuit is successful? It gets pushed to the General Assembly to basically fix the uh, rules for independence.
Okay, but I think what Robert is saying is that they're trying to pass a law federally to open
Yes.
everybody's independent primaries. Is that right, Robert?
right.
Oh,
Well, I'd like to
okay.
see that get a vote, so we'll see.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
It's tough, but
But-
it kind of tells you what's the sides are, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
They're
Cool.
certainly correlated, or at least reflections, but the laws are they're different, they're
Mhm.
you'd have to the wording would have to be, different, but the audience would be much larger. So
Hey, it's a movement taking many different paths, right? There's people working on this sort of thing at every level to get more independent voices in government, and whether it's our approach or people that we want to work with, bring them all on.
Yeah, that's why we said every avenue, because like Brian said, it is definitely our preference that we have reasonably elected officials who realize that the system is somewhat broken and we're stagnating. We have a full-time legislature that passes the least amount of legislation. There's a lot of things that are broken locally and nationally with the current two-party system, and this is a step in the right direction to change the structure, which should create better outcomes. It would not have been our first choice, but you can wait your whole life for the legislator to pass something, or you can try another avenue.
Great. Well, thank you, Rachel, for sharing on that, and yeah, ongoing conversation. We'll keep you posted. Forward turns 3. July 2022. Yeah, July 2022. Forward Party became what it is today with the merger of 3 groups, and they're having the 3rd birthday party next. Oh, it's the 29th, I believe. Yeah, July 29th, 7 p.m. If you are free, that'll be very interesting. They did it last year also. Well, probably both birthdays also. And yeah, it's just a good recap. We remember what happens here in Pennsylvania, but it's good to remind ourselves that these sorts of things are happening across the country in different states, different degrees, and it'll be good to recap the past year. Yeah. National committees. I don't know if everyone's aware that the National Forward Party has committees for different groups of people, different priorities of ours. The AAPI, that's the Asian. What is the abbreviation for AAPI?
Asian American and Pacific Islander.
That one. There you go. Yeah, and Robert, you have been involved in them, gone to meetings with them, right?
Yeah. So right now, the newest official, I think the newest official committee was the Hispanic and Latino committee, but AAPI, we were going to be the newest. If not, we are. So it's something like that. So right now, there hasn't really been much like the general welcoming rug hasn't been put out yet, so we're just kind of getting things situated. But if you look out maybe a month or so, we should have everything kind of finalized, and you should
Good.
see something from possibly Andrew Yang and just the big welcoming committee, and hopefully we'll have things structured. We have some nice help from some people that are also a part of the Young Fortists and the Women's Committee with Rachel to, because they've been around a little bit longer, so they kind of went through some of the growing pains. So they can hopefully we can learn a little bit from that, and we can kind of move on and grow nicely without having so many problems. I know right now, like the DEI has kind of been not a great term, so we're trying to kind of fight through that, because we do understandably in public office. I think it's just to reiterate the old adage of imagine yourself being in like the DMV or something, which I was recently, and I don't know if I personally got my real ID 2 or 3 years ago, but my mother had not. So we get there, and the line is ridiculous. People have been waiting since 6:30 in the morning. It opens at 8:30. And sometimes you just need other people to kind of understand your culture. Because in politics, sometimes it's just the littlest things would just you would just get on someone's shit list for no reason. It's ridiculous. Just to remind people how bad government organizations can be sometimes. So that's
Okay.
my little spiel about AAPI. Thanks.
Well, I
Rachel?
think the point is any organization needs to, you need different viewpoints to have a well-run organization. And I mean, in this, it's important to get people with all different backgrounds involved. And our friend Gabe McGuire has been working with the Young Fortis since the beginning, and has done some really great things there. Rachel, if did you have something you want to say or speak on the women's committee?
I was just gonna sort of speak on briefly on the committees, and pointing out that, like, like Robert was kind of saying, is there are a lot of different types of people in America and in Pennsylvania, and the real goal of these committees is to provide to work towards representative government that looks like the people it represents. I think that's a really simple way to say it. And so these groups listed are traditionally, and I believe right now, unarguably underrepresented in government compared to their population. So, we are trying to be careful with like DEI terms and equity and things like that, but really parity is the word we use a lot. Is that the elected official should somewhat mimic or look like the communities they represent. And right now, pretty much at all levels, I don't think we can confidently say that's not happening. So that's like an interesting talking point, or angle that is kind of non-controversial. And I just wanted to mention that these provide points of access. If you're not interested in leading your county or running for office, you can, join one of these committees and tune in for you can volunteer with them, you can fundraise with them, but you can also learn with them. And there's quarterly meetings, there's book clubs, there's guest speakers. And so for somebody, anyone who might maybe be a little less political or wants a different way to get involved, it's another point of access or entry into the organization. And then it could lead, who knows where. Maybe somebody does get inspired to run for office, and then you're supporting other folks like you in the obstacles associated with being an underrepresented group and running for office and trying to win.
Well, in the veterans and veteran families committee, I know we've had folks from our team reach out and attend calls. I'm not sure that we have anyone that's continued in like the leadership or running that organization, but it's obviously we need to value veterans in our party, and yeah, they're doing some great work. So if one of these groups appeal to you, please use these websites on the Forward Party website. You can hit committees and get information on each of them there. And here in the state, we need county leads, right? We've talked so much about candidates. If you have candidates in your area, we need to be able to support them. So that's organizing at a county level that can get ready, recruit candidates, organize events to gather signatures, and just build a real community there. So that's what we're trying to do, build from the bottom up and in your local level. If you just pick a restaurant, pick a time you want to meet up, we'll have an event there and get a few forwardists together. Just we're just looking for people that want to lead at their local level, and we'd love to hear from you.
Another
Uh,
thing, oh, sorry,
Dave-
David has his hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, if you'd like to have something, a local meetup without having to organize it, we were just talking about Smirkonish and the lawsuit. He launched something called the Mingle Project, which has various meetups happening for people to just talk about the diversity of their political opinions in a constructive way. I've been trying to attend one, but they moved the one that was near me a little farther away, so I haven't yet. But if you're closer to, I can't remember if it's Harrisburg or one of the other big cities, there are more of them scattered around. So that would be a great way to meet people in your area who are probably similar in mindset to people in the Forward Party, even if they don't know about it yet or wouldn't identify themselves that way.
Absolutely. David, thank you for sharing that. I've been putting the Mingle Project in the newsletter for a little while in hopes that people would attend one. I'd love to hear if anybody did. But Michael Smirkanish on his website lists the meetups, and several of these cities where they have meetups are in Pennsylvania: Bethlehem, Doylestown, Hanover. What else? Philadelphia, Reading. Yeah, all these cities are having like regular meetups of Michael Smirkanish listeners, who I think is right in our wheelhouse.
Does
And so if
anybody,
you're,
excuse me, does anybody know what I don't know about the one in Philadelphia. Does anybody have any information about that?
yeah, you can find out they're going to meet up July 30th at 6 p.m. at Iron Hill Brewery and Restaurant.
And where?
Uh, Iron Hill
Oh.
Brewery.
In Chestnut
Okay.
Hill. Yeah.
So is there something, can I hold on to that so it doesn't disappear?
Sure. Sure. Let me, here, I'll share I'll put it in the chat right now. If I can
Norma,
figure
if
out-
you end up having trouble, I can find it and send it to you as well.
Say that
So
again?
if you end up having trouble finding it after the call, I can send it to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I just shared the Philadelphia one that Norma asked about, and here I'll share the whole thing if anyone wants to see them near you or learn more about it.
And if you get lucky, he might actually show up, right? Because isn't he from around here? Michael
He's
Sakani?
in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could.
Yes, he's from,
Yeah.
yes.
That's not how they sell it though. He doesn't, that's not guaranteed.
I was also just going to say on this page of county leads and county leaders and how you can help the organization grow, because it can be intimidating and understandably so to say, like, I'm going to lead my county, or like, I'm new to this, what can I do? And again, joining committee, tuning into calls are great. Another thing you can do is if you say that you're willing to maybe when someone joins and signs up on the website, we try to match them with someone in their geographical area to have that initial conversation, someone on leadership, somebody who has had at least a couple conversations with someone on leadership or feels comfortable that they've been on a couple of calls and can just have a conversation, welcoming them in. Where do you live? Oh, I live here. And what races are you following, or why are you interested? And help them understand what Forward's all about, connect them to ways that they can get involved. That initial contact, Brian and David and myself and Ben and Robert too, we do a lot of them, but like there's a lot of communities that are not represented by the 4 or 5 of us. So if you are interested in doing that, we would love to have more like ambassadors, let's say.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
Brought that up because I've been interested in volunteering and I've been asking for information. And truthfully, I haven't gotten much. I think you guys need to have some kind of a welcome package or something to give to new people. I was interested, I still
That
am
makes sense.
interested, but my interest is starting to wane.
That's
For a
that's
couple
that's
different
that's probably
reasons.
my fault there. Like I said, I'm trying to set something up as an in-person so we can all kind of get together. And it's the middle of the summer, so a lot of people on vacation. Try to be cognizant of that. But you know, I'll try to get you more situated. I mean, feel free to reach out to me individually. I
Actually,
can
I
give my
am.
email.
I'm
I think you have
I'm
my
very
email address.
flexible,
Okay.
but I just think as a general, it just seems like from what I've seen in the meetings and everything, that right now just kind of very disorganized. It's like you got a lot on your plate, but it just seems very incoherent. I'm not being, to be disparaging or anything, but I would like to get involved. There's a lot of good that can be done and everything, but
All right. So
yeah.
what have you done recently as far as community organizing? Just to see where we
No, would Joe,
get you
Joe and
set
I
up.
have had, Joe and I have talked. Yeah, Joe, we're gonna get you involved. Let's I appreciate the critique. Believe me, we know it's not an easy
Eh,
thing to like get people involved because it's a slow process, right? We're thinking on like
Right, right. I
yearly
understand that,
times.
and I can also, assist with like the background, the infrastructure, of coming from an IT background and a business background, it can, do behind the scenes stuff, to help out. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the front end as a candidate or supporting a candidate directly. There's all the support stuff that goes along. But
That'd be
yeah,
fantastic.
just a
Yeah,
FYI, I'm still interested
we
and
could
I would
always use
like
the
to
help.
get
So
involved,
yeah, sorry if
and
you
I'm
felt
available.
a little standoutish or standoffish, or if you feel that we're disorganized. We don't try to make that impression on you. So
You you're absolutely right though. I mean, there's no another thing to mention, as long as we're talking about, ways people can help. We've had a number of personal issues come up with people involved in our leadership lately. So we're thinking about them and wishing them all the best, but it does lead to a few gaps in the things that we have always been able to do. Um,
right, yeah,
and things that
there was a cancer.
we've never officially been fully organized. So I'm happy. Hey, anybody that wants to be involved, we don't want anyone to feel like they're not appreciated or that we're not so thrilled. All of you on this call, anybody that ever reaches out, we're happy to have you, and we're building a great big team here. Yeah, David.
I raised my hand to make the same clarification Rachel just made in the chat. Just wanted to make it clear that personal issues means that we've had a lot of our very important people in the Pennsylvania organizational team encounter life challenges recently that have taken them away from being able to contribute. It's not that we've had personal issues like misconduct or anything of that sort. They're just
You're
dealing with
exactly
challenges
right.
in their lives that understandably limit their ability to be involved in the forward party right now.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, um yes. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Fundraising, of course, we run a lean organization. We're all volunteers, but it does cost us some money to run as an organization. Annual fees for the bank account and the different things that we have. Different support structures do have a small amount of fees, and then materials that we want to print and put up for election time, supporting candidates. We could really use the more resources we have financially, the more we can send out. And we want to, we have big ideas. Next year we want to run these state candidates. That's going to cost some money. So if you can be a donor, we'd appreciate that very much. If you could make a recurring donation, it doesn't take much, but you know, a regular donation of just a few dollars means that that's something that we can rely on when we're making our plans. Yeah, so that's all we had scheduled. Just wanted to open it up. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to say about what we discussed tonight?
Well, I missed most of what you said, what was said tonight. But I think we have two candidates who are running for office, and I think that's a real positive step for us. So I think we should count that as something that is good that's happening for us.
Yeah. So we actually have, uh, as far as candidates go, we have had conversations. We've had, requested endorsements of a number of candidates that were currently in the pipeline, right? We can't officially announce them yet. We should all know, mostly all of us know Christian Fike, who, is our longtime state chair, is running for office in his hometown for treasurer of New Kensington. So he's had to take a leave of absence to do that. So he's on the ballot as a forwardist. We've heard from several other people tonight running for very local seats. And there's a number of office holders that are independent, even Republicans or Democrats that we're going to work with this year that have reached out for endorsements. So, like I said, most of these we can't announce yet because it's not legally official. But they're going to be out in the next few weeks, something like that. And we'll be so excited to share them with everybody. But yeah, there's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of between, say, 8 and 15, that somewhere in that number of candidates that we're supporting this year. And that's, I believe, going to be the highest number of any year we've
That's
had
a
so
lot.
far.
That's a lot.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so each of those folks is gonna, we're gonna want to nurture that relationship and, send them support, send out emails about them and get the word out. It's gonna be big. As long as we're talking about the third anniversary of Forward, this will be the fourth election that we've been through. So, the first year we endorsed one Democrat candidate. The second year I think it was three
Ooh,
Democrats.
trivia. Who was our first endorsed candidate?
Okay, I know.
I know. I knocked doors. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Anyone else know the first endorsed candidate?
This is
Okay,
not Eric Settle or
No,
no.
anything
no.
like that. Okay, the
Oh,
very first, 2022.
2023. Oh no, 2022. 2022, we endorsed Ilya Bremen for State House. Yeah, he's still around sometimes. We see him from time to time, but he was great. And then the next year it was another local year, so we had, I think, 9 candidates total, one of which was a forwardist. And this year we're gonna, have a similar number, but more forwardists. It's great, great. And and then of course last year we ran our two statewide candidates, plus several other endorsements. So, um, are there any trifolds that explain what the Forward Party is and stands for that we can give out? We were just talking about materials, right? Because we're gathering up for election season again, and we'd like to have pamphlets to hand out and those sorts of things. We have had, what did you have some cards, Robert?
I have some cards. So if you're in a southeast regional area, I can certainly give you some cards to hand out. They do have
Those are
the
last year's.
past, right? They do have our past candidate.
Right.
So if they don't look closely, but they do have some more information.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Right. So those were the cards that we used last year, and we were discussing it for this year. We need to get a new, something put together. a lot of people like you said, a trifold, or maybe if not a trifold, maybe just a card, like a palm card that can have some information. Or, I like the business cards because they're easy to hand out and they're cheap to make a bunch of. Uh, so we can just be very free with them. But yeah, trifold is a great suggestion. Someone just has to fold them all. There you go. Volunteers. Josh.
Yeah, hey everyone. First meeting, and I was gonna mention this when I think Joe was talking a little bit earlier, but like a digital package, like digital versions of the trifold, I feel like would be really nice instead. That way, like you're not spending money on all the printing, and then we can also just kind of give it out digitally so that like we don't have to meet up and pick them up from people and stuff like that. So I just a thought that like maybe that's an easier and more cost-effective method there.
Uh, yeah, the digital, you're right about distribution though. We actually that was a kind of a big challenge last year for us because we had these statewide candidates and we were printing those cards that Robert had. And the best way we could kind of do it is to order them to be picked up at Staples near each volunteer. So our form was like, hey, I want 100 cards, send them to this Staples, and then we get them sent out. But it was a little more challenging to do like yard signs. We had to have a little Pony Express to get them all across the state. Those sorts of logistical challenges, were new for us last year. Um, yeah, Rachel.
Yeah, so definitely there's electronic ways to get stuff to people to print to bring to something like a community event or knocking on doors. I think possibly we might also be talking about like we did make a QR code. I don't know if anybody still has it, which then takes you to the website. So the website does have a lot of content like we're discussing. The Pennsylvania specific forward party website, it has our priorities, it introduces to leadership, it talks about our principles and values, what we're doing, and we're working on getting more content of like our sitting electeds, and then our candidates will show. It posts a link to the last statewide meeting and any events that we have. So here's a great opportunity if someone is tech savvy and wants to maybe create a new QR code that links to the website, and we could distribute it to everyone on this call or another way. And then if you just have it on your phone, problem solved, right? It's free. I don't know. I'm not an IT person. I work in healthcare, but if that is doable, like that's a quick low-hanging fruit we could just do, right? Or no?
It is kind of hard to get someone to scan a QR code. Um, if
You
you
think?
give this sometimes because you can do nefarious things if you get them to scan a QR code. You can lead them to all sorts of that. I mean, it's
I
kind of
mean, you go do a menu at a restaurant. It's one
yeah,
idea. I welcome other
Yeah.
ideas, but I don't think we
right.
should rule it out. Someone can
Yeah,
decline.
I hear what you're saying, but it's kind of give and take. And if you go to other countries, some people have adopted QR codes for nearly every form of payment. Even then, that could also be nefarious. You just have to make sure you have to know how to recognize a scam a different way. And when you're doing QR codes, there's a give and take. That's why I love the website because there's only so many things you could fake, right? It's pa4party.com. It's like right there and definitely looks legit. HTTPS,
Mhm.
so it's all good. So
Yeah.
that's the tough part, yeah. And
And
something maybe
and
what Michael had said.
yeah, cards don't work in all cases, sure, but they'll remember the conversation that they had with someone if they have something that they, keep with them. Or, if you're having an event and you sit down at the table, maybe you want a longer piece of paper because people are getting there and they want to be able to discuss the things that we're talking about. So absolutely different materials for different times. You know, when people have worked the tabling events last year in Rittenhouse Square, what they wanted for those tabling events were different than what you want, standing at the polls on election day. So yeah, we gotta have them all ready.
I am not Zoom friendly, so I don't know how to press something to take my hand up like other
Okay,
people
okay,
have. So I'm just talking. Uh,
yeah,
I have been involved with the Forward Party for a bit of time, And as I said, I've been out because I just moved recently. It's been taking a lot of my time. When we used to have our meetings and we were talking about marketing at the Tap House in Doylestown, one of the things that we were going over was the fact that we have people that we try and explain, friends, family, people that we just get involved in conversation with. We start trying to talk to them about what the forward party is, and there's only so much information we can talk to them about. That's why I had mentioned the trifold or a palm card, something like that, that just has a basic snippet to get them involved. Um, I'm actually a physician. I do artificial limbs and braces, and I also have a degree in psychology, and I do classes in marketing. And one of the primary things is that human beings, especially nowadays, do not have the patience to stare at anything longer than a TikTok. It's just become ingrained at this point in time. And so you've only got a very short window to get their attention. Um, Once that happens, then they'll go and scan a QR code or go to the website that's on the information. But they have to be able to look at it and read a couple of sentences and go, oh, this is interesting. Let me look up for more information. And that's where I was thinking that something along the lines of either a trifold or a palm card or something would be useful to be able to get them the very basics of the information so that they then can go and look for other stuff.
That's a good point, Michael. We did actually have some. We just ran out. I think who had it? Ben? Someone had it. Someone had the old one that
Yeah.
we put together. We just at this point
We
gave
haven't
them
had
all
more
away.
printed yet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we had them all. And we do have a TikTok account. I see Zachary. Are you volunteering to take over the Ford, Pennsylvania TikTok account? I think we get some dances up there. So
Yeah, not me.
Hey.
no, Michael, I think you're absolutely right. Not to date myself, but I used to work at a video store, right? And a video rental store, and you'd recommend movies for people. You'd be like,
I'm
"Oh,
53. I know.
okay, great." I had personal movies that I really liked. For an example, let's say, uh, The Big Lebowski, right? So someone comes in and I say, "Oh, have you rented Big Lebowski before?" And they go, "Oh no, I don't want. I'm not interested in that one." And then they come back in and then you recommend it again. Sometimes it took like several times of telling people have to hear about a movie that they haven't seen from the guy at the video store and their friend at work and their brother told them. And then if they get multiple lines of people recommending the same movie, then they'll check it out. And I think that's what we have here, right? Maybe people will catch Eric Settle last year one time, at a speech that they listened to, and then they see Andrew Yang mention it on, Real Time with Bill Maher, and then they hear from, Michael, at work when he's chatting about a Zoom call that he got last night. It takes like multiple times where people start to hear Forward Party and they get familiar with it, and then they vote for their local judge of elections is on the ballot because there's an F on the ballot, and what does that mean, right? And so like it takes a lot of reps to come around, but the idea is we can grow from this bottom and grow it all the way up.
You just want to make sure you don't do it so much that it sounds like eat your broccoli.
That's true. Oh yeah, we all have spouses and family members that have heard a lot of times about Forward Party.
Oh yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah, I was just gonna, acknowledge that this has long been an issue. It remains an issue. Some of us who've been on the leadership calls or have been on these calls since 2022, some folks have fallen off who were great at speaking about forward. We all need to practice talking about forward. We've talked about having meetings where we can practice talking. Someone asked me a question. You're always going to have to answer the question, what do you guys stand for? You guys don't have a platform. And so National did put out some talking points, and some states, including Pennsylvania, we've sort of tried to target them, customize them to your state. And I don't know, we can look at them again, Brian and Ben, and see if maybe we want to share that out as frequently asked questions. If someone says to you this, you can respond with this. Because we do want our branding to be accurate. We do want our answers to be knowledgeable and non-confrontational. We want to practice what we say we want from our leaders, which is not to get into an argument or belittle someone's other side, so it is a craft and we all need to work on it, but we also need a much more digestible 30-second answer. When someone gives you a moment of their time, they can always give you more, but they're probably going to give you, a few seconds. And so we have had this conversation so many times. And then I think sometimes we don't want to just repeat things that folks have seen on other meetings. And then we have new people and they're lost. And it's definitely a challenge. So hearing this again is good for us. And it's a constant struggle. It's a struggle at the national level. And we all need to figure it out before people lose interest. You're not wrong.
Michael, go ahead if you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, no, I was just asking how that's done so that if I needed to chime in next time I could.
Great, great, thanks. And Robert.
So a little bit from the national, we're trying to avoid the term centrist because it kind of it maybe it understates or maybe it doesn't kind of it undersells our conviction. Maybe we're not bold enough if we're centrist. So, but I think they're trying to focus. I sent the 12 archetypes of branding, and our new board member is what he worked on like dozens and dozens of national, international companies like what was it, Red Bull and some other just enormous companies, Nike or something. I don't know. It was just a wild amount of companies he worked for, and the general direction that they're trying to say is that Ford is trying to be the creator and the sage in this 12 archetypes. I think someone also mentioned everyman. It may have been just one of um, the probably state leads or something that said everyman could also be a piece of everyman archetype. But if we can kind of imagine that, that's the target we're trying to go for, and to try to make it also like buzzy, like interesting enough that when people think of the Ford Party, they could automatically just have they can see our values. One of our values is joy, and another value is kind of the rebel, because so if you can just imagine ourselves, so I'm trying to put together a little. If anyone knows anything about social media, we may try to share something. So building on the rebel mindset, there might be some kind of Star Wars, for like meme or something coming out. So I haven't refined it yet. I think I'll show it to you guys later, maybe the rest of the board, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so that's kind of where national is telling us to go, and we could just kind of from the bottom up grow from that. So if anyone has any ideas on kind of branding that maybe Michael brought up.
Cool. Yeah, David.
I wanted to speak to some of the people who've been really active on this call that I don't know very well, especially Joe Friend, Michael Kogan, Zachary Thompson a little bit. From the way that you're suggesting things, it seems like you could be really helpful to the Forward Party as organizers. If that's something that you're at all interested in, please don't hold back. On that note, I wanted to share my experience because I've gotten a little bit more involved organizationally over the last half year or so. And for a long while, I kind of held back on the periphery. I kind of thought that there was this inner sanctum of leadership that I didn't want to overstep into. So I kind of waited on the outside to, for directions essentially. And then just sort of incidentally, I got on the Slack. I realized that when they post on the Slack about leadership meetings, turns out anyone can just go to those. I thought I kind of clicked on it by accident one night, and then I thought, oh, am I supposed to be here? But no one told me to leave, so I just stuck around. The point I'm trying to make is if you are at all interested in getting more engaged and actually helping us to orient ourselves in a direction and get a to-do list organized and try to address some of the deficits you've pointed out, like the fact that we don't have an organized welcome packet, please join us. The water is fine. There aren't many people in the pool right now for the reasons we mentioned earlier, so we could really use the help, but don't hold back. I've learned from getting to know the veterans like Rachel and Ben and Brian recently. it's not some sort of a closed off inner sanctum. Anyone can just come in and be part of PA Forward. Don't hold back.
That's a great point, David. Yeah, we hear if you're in the Slack, most likely you're part of the leadership. So I do see some of us are in the Slack already. I was going to send Joe Friend our Slack information, but he's in there. So if you want to jump in, those conversations on Slack, let us know. Or if you prefer a different mode, is maybe some people don't like Slack. Maybe we could do something else, but we'll talk about that later if that's important. I think maybe that was the AAPI committee. They mentioned they may get into WhatsApp, like a WhatsApp chat. I know the Hispanic and Latino community a committee has a WhatsApp. So is everyone okay with Slack here?
Yeah, and yeah, National wanted us wants everyone to use Discord, but Discord is intimidating. We like
It's
Slack.
tough.
Slack
Wait,
works for us. It
yeah.
could be a little bit to get used to, but it's been pretty good.
That's
Okay, great. Well, yeah, we're a little over an hour. If we had any other topics we can discuss, we could. I don't know. Nobody brought up Elon Musk and the American Party, so I guess we'll leave that for some other day.
Brian, there's some interest in the chat about Slack. Would you be willing to very briefly just screen share what that is and maybe highlight where it is in the newsletter? The
Oh,
link
sure.
to what I mean?
I shared it in the chat, the link, the invite link to Slack.
Well, yeah, we could demonstrate it real quick. Let me make sure. Yours may not look exactly like mine. I think I have a few permissions set up that yeah, but this is our Slack. You can see you know, Slack is set up so that you can have different Slack channels, and one of which is the Forward Party of Pennsylvania. You know, from the general Slack, which is where everyone's free to post things that you're seeing. Here's Robert posting about branding recently. David's always good with a comment about something he's interested in. Oh, we were all afire with Rachel's news about the Michael Smerconish lawsuit and everything. And then if we go a little bit before that, we can see where we were all discussing Elon Musk and what he was saying. So yeah, this is kind of a very concise mini social media here where it's just people that have joined. We have 89 people who have gotten on here. And then each of those 89 people you can direct message. Not to, I don't want to highlight any personal conversations, but each here's, Joe or Ben, or, you can individually DM anybody else that's in this. And so, we mentioned Ilya a little bit ago. I could message Ilya, say, hey, what's going on in your area, and have these conversations. We have individual Slack channels for a few different regions and different groups. You can be on the communications team, or all different things. Like I said, yours will be a little more concise than mine probably, but if you follow the link that I guess was put in the chat, you can join the Slack channel, and there's an app on the phone that is very convenient. I like to use it on the desktop, but we can share information with each other and celebrate when we have things to celebrate. Is there
And if you lose that link when the chat closes on Zoom, remember that link is included in, I think, every important email that PA Forward sends out. So there's always a way in.
Great
Yeah.
job, Mike. You just joined. I see you.
Oh, we're up to 90. Awesome. Element is pretty similar to Slack.
I know it's getting late, but David's point is, I had the same experience. I thought, oh, I'll tune in. This was many years ago, and like I'll see what they asked me to do, or like this well-oiled machine. Like we are still forming. We are a bunch of volunteers. We gain and lose people sometimes for personal reasons. some of us have been around for a while, but like we are the Pennsylvania Forward Party, and you are the Pennsylvania Forward Party. So like waiting to be asked versus volunteering to do something. We all have full-time jobs, most of us, families, a lot of other things. We're just volunteers. So this was actually really productive, and it is good to remember what it felt like as a newcomer, thinking like, how organized are they? Is this a legit thing? And waiting to hear like how organized and like, established it was. Like it's a work in progress, and we'd love to have more of you folks contributing to that progress.
You're
I would
contributing
also
right now.
I would also like to thank Brian for picking up the ball for this meeting. I don't want to get it too much into it, but I had a personal family tragedy this weekend, and I needed to not host tonight.
Of
So
course.
thank you very much.
Of course, Ben. And thoughts are with you, and we appreciate everything you do. We have full plates. But Ben, while you're on there, is there a candidates meeting this week? Or is
It
that next
should
week?
be. Oh shit! Shoot! I'm gonna wait. No,
Fourth
No.
Okay.
Wednesday,
Well,
right?
we'll figure it out. We'll figure that
it's
out.
on the 30th. For some reason, I keep thinking it's on the 20th. It's on a Tuesday, but no, it's on the 30th. So
Okay, Wednesday the 30th. Maybe some folks want to join that. Please feel free to reach out. That's where we're talking about the candidates that we're working with. So it's a pretty good meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
And you don't have to be appointed to the candidate committee. You can just show up.
Yeah, with most of the committees, the working committees, you can just show up and start contributing if that's your if that's how you want to contribute. We are it should be mentioned we are looking for some people more with the fundraising background and also a communications background because
Always.
For obvious
tragedies.
reasons.
For obvious reasons. All right. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. It's not everybody that even takes time out of their day to join a call like this. So appreciate all your time, and look forward to the next few exciting months to election day. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.